act. Well, joining me now is fellow Republican Congressman Mike Turner of Ohio, a senior member of the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us again. What are the biggest questions on your mind after hearing the president's speech?
Well, Betty, on this day of 9/11, the flags here at the Capitol are at half-mast commemorating 9/11. I think we have to look at the president's speech in light of 9/11. If you look back at the 9/11 Commission report, it said that you can't just defeat Osama bin Laden or al-Qaeda, that the actual enemy, the adversary of the United States, is Islamic extremism. The president's speech last night began, I think, for the first time for this president to see that he's taken his eye off the ball. That even though he was, when he came into office, saying he was committed to ensure that Islamic extremism would be held at bay, he instead focused on withdrawing our troops and without having a plan to address what really is a very dangerous situation in the Middle East. Now, the president's speech certainly stated the right things. Now we've got to see whether or not he'll follow through. If he does not follow through, we're going to continue to have real threats emerging and real threats to our national security. Well,
there seems to be no question about training Iraqi troops in order for them to repel the advance of Islamic militants. But this whole issue of training Syrian rebels, I mean, in some cases, as I've heard from other congressmen, they're just as bad as the Islamic militants and just as evil. So is there going to be any type of, any consensus on training them?
Well, and that's going to be part of the problem that the president has in putting forth his plan. Because he took his eye off the ball and Iraq has degraded and became destabilized, allowing ISIL to get a stronghold into Iraq. And at the same time, he took his eye off the ball in Syria after he had the showdown on the Red Line. We have an area that is ungoverned territory and now is occupied by ISIS. The president is going to have to really make the case with a plan for Congress to understand what he's going to do. As he looks to strengthen the Iraqi National Guard, the problem that he's going to have with those national security forces is that they have been degraded. So this is going to take a significant commitment by the president, and we'll have to see whether or not he follows through. When we look at Libya, the president has allowed, because he did not follow through on a post-Gaddafi regime plan, chaos to ensue. Hopefully he'll make certain that in this he will follow a plan and follow through.
You know, Congressman, you mentioned that of course, we're talking about this on the 13th anniversary of 9/11. I think there's a growing belief and fear, understandable fear among Americans that Islamic militants could be here operating in the United States, ready to launch an attack on us. Congressman, what do you know about that? Is that just all rumor mongering and unbased fears?
Well, I think it's very evident that when you have individuals who are American citizens with American passports or Europeans with European passports fighting as part of ISIS and ISIL, that they are one airplane ride away from bringing the problem home. And that certainly is what the president needs to focus on also, is the issue that this is a direct threat to the United States.
Absolutely. Congressman, the next step, what are you going to be looking for, the next step out of the White House on dealing with this?
What we're going to need to see from this president is a significant commitment to a plan that shows the resources for success. You cannot do a haphazard bombing or haphazard approach to try to defeat ISIS, and you certainly can't just give minimal resources or aid to the Iraqi National Security Forces. This is going to have to be a full, coordinated effort to be able to take back territory that really the president allowed to degrade and to concede.
All right, Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. Congressman Mike Turner of Ohio.